This is Oakura Bay, Northland, New Zealand. I used to come here every summer to go camping. Just behind these houses, there's a road just behind these houses, but there used to be a campsite up until fairly recently. Anyway, Oakura Bay. My sister has a house here now. We call it a batch. A beach house in New Zealand is called a batch. My sister has one here, which is great because it's nice to come and stay here, having, like I said, come here every summer as I was growing up. Every summer for about 2 weeks over the New Year period. Anyway, so my sister's got a batch and I'm thinking, the beach is not that steep. It's actually nearly high tide at the moment. The tide's coming in. So the water does recede quite far out. Here's a look from earlier today. But anyway, my sister's got a batch here, and as I said, the beach isn't all that steep. So what is the deal with sea level rise? What's going to happen to these houses with sea level rise? These beachfront houses, because if the sea level rises too much, well, they could be in a bit of strife. However, we can look further down the beach here and see. There you go, there are some people on the beach, so definitely more than a metre, isn't it, before you need to get to the houses? I would call it about 3 metres. So about, let's call it 3 metres. Now I'm going to throw some numbers out and we're just going to sort of be rounding as we go and using rough numbers. So let's call it 3 metres height. Now, what if all of the ice on Greenland were to melt? Would that be an issue? Would that give us 3 metres rise in sea level? Well, we can do a bit of number crunching to find out the answer to that. Greenland has roughly 2.9 million cubic kilometers of ice. Let's just call it 3. Like I said, we're going to be rounding and using rough numbers. So Greenland's got about 3 million cubic kilometers of ice. Well, let's spread that ice, let's turn it into water, and we'll spread that ice around the world. We can do that because the world is sort of a sphere. Sort of. It's an oblate spheroid. It's like a sphere, but it's a bit squashed because it's spinning. So think of it as being a sphere that got squashed and is now fatter at the equator than it is vertically up and down. Hang on one sec. You guys okay? Kian? You right? You okay? Okay, let's Kian and I are shouting water. Anywho, so, there. Diameter of the Earth, that's a simple 12,756 kilometers. That's the number that I learned when I was young, and I just have never been able to forget it. So, what's the radius of the Earth? I have no idea, but I do know the diameter is about 12,756 kilometers. Now, the surface area of a sphere is 4 times pi times r squared, so we do need that radius. So we simply take half of the diameter, here we go, and multiply it by itself to get r squared. Now we'll times that by 4, and we'll times it by pi. I'm just going to use 3.14 because it makes the maths easier. And we come out with this number. But that's the surface area of a sphere. The ocean doesn't cover the entire Earth's surface. It only covers about 71%, so we'll just times this number by 0.71, and this will give us the surface area of the Earth that is covered by ocean. Now, let's take that 3-ish million cubic kilometers and divide it by this let's call it 363 million square kilometers of ocean surface, and we come out with this number, sort of 0.008-ish. Now our units are in kilometers, so let's convert to meters by simply multiplying by 1000, and we come out with about 8 meters. So if all of the ice on Greenland were to melt and go into the ocean, yes, Waikura Bay would not be a place to be living, especially along this beachfront here. There are some houses up on the hill, so you know you can still live up there with 8 meters sea level rise, but no, this place would not be habitable. Now that's only Greenland. There's a lot more ice in Antarctica. In fact, there's about 10 times the amount of ice in Antarctica. So Antarctica has 90% of the world's ice. Greenland only has 9% of the world's ice. The other 1% is, you know, things like glaciers up in the mountains, etc. So if Antarctic ice were to all melt, go into the ocean, well, that's going to give us 10 times the amount, isn't it? That will give us roughly 80 meters of sea level rise. Way up there, isn't it? So basically we do not want all of the ice in Greenland or Antarctica to be melting. Now remember, I gave the volume of ice in Greenland and Antarctica, and ice occupies a greater volume than water does. Water expands when it freezes. So actually, if Greenland and Antarctic ice were to melt, we wouldn't actually get 88 meters of sea level rise. It would be a bit less than that, but it would still be fairly substantial. So yeah, Waikura Bay. A great place at the moment, and a great place to spend a couple of weeks growing up every year. But let's just hope all the ice on the planet doesn't melt. Well, that's the video done. If you liked it, brilliant. Hit the like button and leave me a comment too. Now you know what to do. Go hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.